של אור ותקווה לעזתים, שבימים אלו ישראל...
And those millions of dollars, if we have been a decent and people's thinking government, would have used those millions of dollars to keep those schools that it once closed open.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to The Struggle. The Struggle is shown on over 30 cable stations from Vermont to New York City, on the internet at thestruggle.org. Last week we talked about the decision by the Israeli government to cut electricity going to Gaza almost in half. I interviewed a woman in Gaza by phone, and we'll have a couple minutes of that talk to start the show. Then an effort by Israeli Jews to show solidarity with Gaza Palestinians. A group of Israelis went to a beach fairly near Gaza and put candles into small hot air balloons that went out over the sea. Finally, a speech in Holyoke, Massachusetts by Oscar Lopez Rivera, a Puerto Rican leader who had been in jail for 35 years. However, we'll start by talking about internet mobs. The ability to post things anonymously on the internet has been a wonderful gift to the haters. More and more, they've been using that power to swarm on activists and thinkers with vile curses and threats. About a week ago, Trinity College was shut down for a day after the haters falsely claimed that one of its professors, Johnny Williams, had called for whites to be killed. He and Trinity were physically threatened with a barrage of messages straight out of the sewer. Yet the response by the president of Trinity was pathetic. She put Professor Williams on leave. At the same time, two members of the Connecticut State Senate called for Williams' dismissal. Not a single other member of the Connecticut legislature said a word, not even to condemn the threats. Cowards. Now to my interview with a mother from Nusayrat camp on the Gaza Strip. She preferred not to be named.
Well, the electricity since April 2017, it's like a very dramatic situation here in Gaza. We have been usually having the electricity 6 hours followed by 12 hours cut. Now we only have it for 3 hours followed by 12 hours cut, and sometimes 3 hours not connected regularly. The situation is very disturbing. The daily life is very affected by the electricity, even in the houses. For example, we do not have, today we didn't have the electricity since 1 p.m. 1 midnight, and just we have it now at 2 p.m. and the second day. And you cannot imagine the kids how they get bored with no electricity. The weather is very hot inside the houses. It's very hot outside the houses. It's like hills. There is no fans. There is no ACs. You cannot do the household work. You cannot clean the house. You cannot vacuum. You cannot iron. You cannot wash the laundry. There is no TV. There is no recording. There is no laptops. There is nothing.
To listen to the whole interview, go to the video section of thestruggle.org. It's the very first top green button. And think of some ways to show solidarity with Gaza and demand an end to the siege. Here's something a group of Israelis did.
בסולידריות עם תושבי עזה, אשר נמצאים בחשיכה, ניסו פעילים ופעילות לשלוח מסר של אור ותקווה לעזתים, שבימים אלו ישראל החלה לצמצם עוד יותר את הקצאת החשמל בעבורם.
אנחנו עומדים בסולידריות עם התושבים שהשמיים שלהם חשוכים, הבתים שלהם חשוכים, אין להם חשמל, ומאירים את השמיים בעצם בתקווה שהקריאה הזאת תהדהד גם במסדרונות הממשלה, יחד עם העצומה שיותר מ3,000 אזרחים כבר חתמו ושלחנו.
אנחנו בעלי כוח כאן, וגם אנחנו בעלי אינטרס. והאם האינטרס שלנו להמשיך ולהקשות על חיי האנשים שגרים פה בגבול לא כל כך רחוק מכאן.
עד כה זכו תושבי עזה בקושי ל6 שעות חשמל ביממה, והקיצוץ הצפוי הולך לפגוע גם במעט הזה, מה שיחריף את המשבר ההומניטרי ברצועה.
איך אפשר לחיות בלי חשמל? זה זכות בסיסית של בני אדם. ומה יוצא מזה שאין להם חשמל? מה? איזה היגיון? איזה מחשבה לטווח ארוך?
זה שאי אפשר לטהר את השפכים, זה גם נכנס לים התיכון. והים התיכון הוא זורם גם פה, זה הים של כולנו, זה יפגע בכל התושבים. אי אפשר להגיד זה נמצא שם, אנחנו לא רואים, לא שומעים, אז זה לא פוגע בנו, או שזה לא קורה. זה קורה, זה פוגע בהם וזה יפגע גם בנו.
אז אבו מאזן ביקש, אני מעריכה שיש איזו בקשה אחת או שתיים שאבו מאזן ביקש, שביבי לא נענה לו. הוא לא חייב דווקא לזה להיענות. ישראל בוחרת למה להיענות ולא.
זה שהפלסטינים רבים ביניהם, גם היהודים בישראל רבים ביניהם. מה, כל הפלסטינים עשו מקשה אחת? הם לא בני אדם, הם לא חברה מגוונת. פלסטינים הם חברה ככל חברה, היא חברה תחת דיכוי, ומי שיש לו את המפתח של הדיכוי ישראל.
זה ועוד איך האינטרס שלנו, לייצר שם חיים טובים לאנשים שחיים שם.
אני מקווה מאוד שתוך כדי המלחמת הישרדות שלהם, הם בכל זאת רואים שיש פה אצלנו גם אנשים שמנסים לעזור להם וחושבים עליהם.
לי יש את הפריבילגיה להתייאש, להם אין פריבילגיה להתייאש.
In other news about Palestine, 34 members of the U.S. Congress signed a letter to Secretary of State Tillerson calling for Israel to drop charges against Issa Amro, a non-violent leader of protest actions in occupied Hebron, who has been accused of Israel of 18 charges, including insulting a soldier, assault, and demonstrating without a permit. Amnesty International has written, the deluge of charges against Issa Amro does not stand up to any kind of scrutiny. In their determination to silence him and stifle his human rights work, the Israeli authorities have apparently even reopened a closed case file. If he is convicted, we will consider Issa Amro a prisoner of conscience. Regrettably, no member of Congress from Massachusetts or Connecticut joined in the letter to Tillerson. Finally, on Palestine, Iyad Bernat reports that Israeli troops raided his town of Berlin and shot his son twice. He is recovering. Israeli activist Miko Peled called the attack terrorism. Now we'll talk about America's richest colony, Puerto Rico. Now you might smile at that because you probably know the government of Puerto Rico has gone bankrupt. But as Juan Gonzalez explained in this book, companies went to Puerto Rico and have made fortunes off the efforts of Puerto Rican workers. In the 90s, corporations made more money on that island than they did from investments in Britain and double what they made in any other country in the world. At the same time, Puerto Rico was shackled and has much more poverty than the poorest U.S. state. For decades, the island has had an independence movement. One of its leaders has been Oscar Lopez Rivera. He was put in jail for 55 years for seditious conspiracy, pardoned by President Obama after he was behind bars for 35 years. In Holyoke, Massachusetts, he got a warm reception at a local church.
It is with honor and privilege and pleasure that I bring and call into this space Don Oscar Lopez Rivera.
Buenas noches, good night. I would like to start this by expressing to all of you my heartfelt gratitude. Quiero expresarles a todos y a todas mi más profunda gratitud por el apoyo, por estar aquí esta noche, por hacer este ratito, este momento uno de mucha felicidad. For making this moment a very special one that is very, very much in happiness.
Try this one, it might work better.
¿Me escuchan? Do you hear me? If at any time you don't hear me, let me know. Just raise your hand and I'll stop it. Okay? So on the 17th of May of this year, I was able to step on Puerto Rican ground. I was able to walk the streets of San Juan. I was able to do it without thinking that I was in prison, that I was free to walk in my homeland, my beloved Puerto Rico. I have been asked many, many times if I have ever felt sacrificed, alone, lonely, and my answer is a simple one. During all those years, no matter how difficult the conditions were, I never felt sacrificed. For the simple reason that I was serving what to me was the most just and noble cause that any Puerto Rican can serve. To love Puerto Rico is very, very easy to do. What will be costly is if we lose Puerto Rico. And at this particular moment in our history, we see a Puerto Rico that we can lose. We see a Puerto Rico with an odious and an unpayable debt of $72 billion. A debt that was not created by Puerto Ricans. It was created by a banking industry that has no hesitation in exploiting people. It has no hesitation in taking out of their pockets the last dollar. It doesn't matter if they're poor, if they're workers, it doesn't matter. In order for the banks, the banking industry to collect its money, the U.S. government has imposed on the Puerto Rican people a fiscal control board. And the fiscal control board is already making decisions not to help Puerto Rico at all. The fiscal control board has asked, or has demanded, or has enforced that 169 public schools in the month of August will be closed in Puerto Rico. He has demanded that $512 million will be cut off from the university system. Now, if any nation wants a better future, education is a must. It is the education system that develops the human resource, and we need the human resource more than anything else. It is the university system that gives us our doctors, our engineers, our nurses, our doctors, our health workers, our teachers, our professors. It gives us the accountants. It gives us the economists. It gives us every profession there is, that with those professions, they can make a nation strong and healthy and good. Unfortunately, for the last 17 years, more than 1 million Puerto Ricans have been forced to emigrate. Mostly all of them are professionals. And it has created in the Puerto Rican society a brain drain. Besides the brain drain, Puerto Rico is being gentrified. I don't know how much people know about gentrification, but gentrification in Puerto Rico can be seen by the construction of multi-million-dollar condominiums. Those buildings, those condominiums are not being built for Puerto Ricans. The present government in Puerto Rico, and it's a colonial government, by the way, that structure gives incentives to any foreigner who invests in Puerto Rico, primarily to buy those million-dollar condominiums. But that same government will not allow itself to provide incentives for Puerto Ricans who can definitely benefit from incentives. The small business owner, the fisherman, who could use money to develop a fishing industry. But it is interesting because on the 11th of June, the same government decided to celebrate a plebiscite in Puerto Rico, a meaningless, futile exercise in Puerto Rico that cost millions of dollars. And those millions of dollars, if we had been a decent and a people's thinking government, would have used those millions of dollars to keep those schools that it once closed open. In 2007, John Paulson arrived in Puerto Rico. John Paulson was the Treasury Secretary under the Bush administration. Now, I hope that most of you remember what happened during the Bush administration, especially at the very end. People in this country faced foreclosures in their homes. Many people lost their homes. And John Paulson was one of the persons who made that possible. John Paulson is the person who controls a hedge fund, a very strong hedge fund. In 2007, he went to Puerto Rico to buy cheap because conditions in Puerto Rico, the economic conditions in Puerto Rico, allow for such a thing to happen. People were leaving Puerto Rico, and he took advantage of that. And that's the individual, or that's the kind of individual that destroy nations, because they're good at destroying economies. They're good at creating poverty in this country too. They're good at promoting the banking industry, their industry. Never mind that the majority of the people in this country are workers. They're not the super rich. The super rich is a minuscule number of people. Probably 80 families in this country control most of the economy, not only of this country, but most of the world. 80 families. The Koch brothers, two men in 2012 had a wealth, this is accumulated wealth, of $82 billion. So, when people hear this, I hope that all of us together think about what the future will be, not only for Puerto Rico, but also for this country. There is a man in Washington that has no respect for any human being except his people. There is a man in Washington who doesn't hide his racism. In 2011, he started his campaign, and it was based on fomenting racism, because he alleged that Obama was not a citizen and therefore not to be president of the United States, knowing fully well that Obama was born in the United States, knowing fully well that his mother was a white woman, knowing fully well that his father was an African, but he used his racism to promote himself little by little until he became president of the United States. And he became president not by popular vote. He became president because there was a club of billionaires who made that possible. If anyone paid any attention the day after the elections, we will see a map of the United States, mostly red. And it was that map that was created by people like the Koch brothers, who in 2015, that little club, had $900 million in their coffers, while the Republican Party had $450 million. The Republican Party had less money than that little clique of billionaires. And that's how politics walks, talks, and does the things that it does. Now, I'm concerned mainly with the conditions in Puerto Rico, because it is the place where I will live, is the place where I will stay until the day I die. And because it is important for me, and I beg every Puerto Rican to do everything he or she can do to help Puerto Rico to uplift itself. We have in Puerto Rico the potential of being a powerful small nation. When I arrived in Puerto Rico, the first thing that I did was to look at the ocean. And in that ocean, in an independent Puerto Rico, not a colonized Puerto Rico, in an independent Puerto Rico, we can have a fountain of energy, renewable energy. If we do that, we would not have to be importing hydrocarbons. In that water, I see a fishing industry, enough to create jobs for Puerto Ricans that will be good jobs. In that ocean, I see a place where we can develop a form of tourism that is eco-friendly. And also we can even sow algae in that river, in that water. We have plenty of sun in Puerto Rico, another source of renewable energy. We have plenty of air in Puerto Rico to generate renewable energy. And with energy, we can move forward. But we also have land, and we also have human resources to make Puerto Rico the nation that it has the potential of being. For me, Puerto Rico is the promised land. The promised land for any Puerto Rican in the diaspora who may never go back to Puerto Rico, but whose children may want to go back to Puerto Rico. We can do in Puerto Rico the things that others say that we cannot do. Colonialism, let me remind everyone, colonialism is a crime against humanity. It is considered as such. According to international law, colonialized people have the right to gain their independence, to exercise their inalienable right to self-determination, and to use any means at their disposal, including the use of force, to become independent. But in Puerto Rico, we have learned by two struggles that we can unite and we can win without using force. We wage the struggle to get the Navy out of Vieques, and we wage a struggle to excarcerate all Puerto Rican political prisoners. Everybody, practically 83% of the population in Puerto Rico supported the last campaign, which was the one that brought me home. So when I talk to the Puerto Ricans, whether in Puerto Rico or in the diaspora, I tell them that the most important thing that we have is the love for Puerto Rico. If we love Puerto Rico, we have to defend Puerto Rico. We have to do We can do it just by a simple act of love. We can unite, we can come together, we can put our differences, ideological, religious, whatever difference there is, as we did with my campaign, with the campaign for my release. We can put all those differences aside, and we can make Puerto Rico a free and independent and sovereign nation. And every single one of us can do something to make Puerto Rico the nation that it has the potential of being. I describe it as an Edenic garden in the Caribbean, because Puerto Rico is the most beautiful place in the Caribbean. So I leave you with this thought in mind. Let's dare every day to fill our hearts with love and compassion. Let's think of Puerto Rico as a free and independent nation, and let's work at it to do it. So thank you very much.
Before I go, I want to talk about an article I wrote on thestruggle.org where I criticize icon Seymour Hersh for his denialism about sarin gas attacks in Syria. That's our program for today. See you next week at this time. I'm Stanley Heller, and this has been The Struggle.